Booker, are you afraid of God?
No. But I'm afraid of you.
Hello Kitty Vickies, Hollow of Dawn here, and this is my super duper mini review of BioShock Infinite. What are my thoughts? Overall, a good story filled with moral ambiguity, interdimensional plane shifting, and social, political, and religious themes are held back by a plot structure that favors action than narrative, relying on padding as a cheap way to give the player more thrills until the end where things of a much bigger scale are revealed. I was pretty indifferent towards almost all of the characters. Sure, there's Elizabeth, but despite all the hype surrounding her, well, with Ken Levine and others at Irrational Games going, man, people will love Elizabeth, they're going to be emotionally attached to her, man. All the while I'm thinking, yeah, she's cool, I guess. I was never emotionally attached to her in spite of the intentions, and even in certain key scenes involving her, I was like, yeah, that happened. The others are about as interesting as all of the characters in BioShock 2, which is to say that I never gave a fuck. I found Comstock to be nowhere near as interesting of an antagonist as Andrew Ryan was, and the others, well, who cares? The problem is that they never have any real moment of defining characteristics that stick with us like an Atlas, or a Dr. Steinman, a Sander Cohen, or even a Tenenbaum if you really want to go that far, and the only time I gave half a shit about Booker was at the end where everything is explained, but I won't spoil it cause it's a spoiler. The gameplay is a de-evolution of what we come to expect from BioShock. While refining the awkward gunplay of past installments, it omits a lot of the RPG elements, non-linear exploration, and unique enemy/NPC interactions, opting to be a glorified co-op game without the co-op. Skylines and tears aside, this is a pretty run-of-the-mill shooter, with enemies coming at you from every orifice. Thanks to this downgrade in gameplay depth, I found playing the game to get extremely repetitive, and instead of feeling excited for the next set piece or encounter, I felt a sense of dread, knowing that the plot had taken a break, and the game is going to introduce even more padding where I must go from point A to point B, then from point B to point A, only to go from point A to point C, only to go from point C to point A, all the while shooting wave after wave of enemies along the way. I despise tedium, especially if it gets in the way of plot progression, and considering how much I liked the story whenever it progressed, it made things even more taxing. The graphics are beautiful when played at high settings or higher from both a technical and artistic standpoint. This is the best looking BioShock to date. The aesthetic is damn inspired, using the American exceptionalism theme to an amazing effect. The move from Unreal Engine 2.5 to Unreal Engine 3 did wonders. Even so, this was a fairly bland experience overall, and even made me dread the next moment thanks to its repetitive design that screams Call of BioShock Infinite Warfare, and not only lost gameplay depth, but also made this the most un-BioShock BioShock game to ever be made. A lot of ambition was put into this game, and I could tell from the story and Elizabeth herself, but in the end I was left with an unsatisfying experience. I didn't expect this game to be as good as the first game, but I at least expected it to be better than BioShock 2, and it is. I would rather play this game than that tedious mess, but not by a huge margin. This is my personal pick for biggest disappointment of 2013 so far, and before you say, what about Aliens Colonial Marines, man? Listen, I was never interested in that game period since I'm not a full Aliens fan, plus I have other games that interest me more. Sure, I liked Alien and Aliens, but I'm not a total fan of neither. I spent $60 pre-purchasing this game because I was on the hype train going, BioShock Infinite, man! It's gonna be so good! Boy, did I learn my lesson. Still way better than BioShock 2. Fuck BioShock 2.